issues during the broadcast, please call the Oregon Studio Hotline at 336-831-0864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Duck's going to pick it up, and here we go. Got him deep. He's open. He's got it, and he's gone.
How about that?
Oregon repeats as the Pac-12 champion.
Duarte pulls up, 3-ball. Bang!
LJ Figueroa!
Oregon goes back-to-back for the fourth time in the last 6 years. The Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
Foley 3. Goal! Mitchell fires and hits a 3. Left wing, pow. Yeah, boom, boom.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
What a weekend.
We're just getting started.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Great weekend if you're the Ducks. Lots of victories that we'll be telling you about, and also spring football is back. Oregon Pro Day was also on Friday. The members of the Oregon Pro Day roster, they met with the media today. We won't be able to get all the interviews for you today on the show because there was about an hour's worth of interviews with all of these future Pro Ducks. So throughout the next week, we'll have various Pro Day interviews for you. But the good news is that Tim DeRuyter, the Oregon defensive coordinator, talked with the media this weekend, as did Alex Mirabal. And I know spring football is pretty darn exciting. I'm excited to hear what these coaches have to say. So we're going to play those for you here in their entirety because fans, I know you don't. No one cares what I think. I don't even care what I think. I want to know what Tim DeRuyter and Alex Mirabal think of spring football. So we got that for you. Robert Johnson, greatest hits from his comments after the Ducks Hayward premiere. First time that an event was hosted at the new Hayward Field, and God, it was cool to see. Robert Johnson talking about that. Chris Duarte has been honored as the nation's top shooting guard. Pretty darn cool. The Jerry West Shooting Guard of the Year, Chris Duarte. Congratulations for the Ducks. Oregon has now had a Player of the Year at a position in the last 2 seasons. Peyton Pritchard was the Bob Cousy Point Guard of the Year last year. Chris Duarte is the Jerry West Shooting Guard of the Year this year. Pretty cool. Softball this weekend, we'll tell you a little bit about that. A great run for Pac-12 hoops, and good luck to both Gonzaga and Baylor tonight. It's going to be a fun one, I think, in the championship game if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour. Oregon volleyball has earned the number 10 national seed in the postseason tournament that begins not this week, but next week. We're going to hear from Matt Ulmer. I got a chance to talk with him yesterday, the Oregon volleyball head coach, as they are the number 10 seed in the national tournament heading in to the NCAA tournament for Oregon volleyball and NCAA volleyball. Also, Oregon baseball, the sweep this weekend, and a lot to get to. Good things with Coach Wazikowski. Lots of interviews today, and it'll give me a chance as we listen to what defensive coordinator Tim DeRuyter has to say, talking about how they were pretty darn good with their signals last year, and well, they're building on that in spring football. The first-year defensive coordinator Tim DeRuyter talked with the media, updating spring football on Saturday.
You know, we did a lot of really good things a year ago, and a lot of the things that Coach Avalos' defense and what we're going to do this fall are very, very similar. And so some of those things I wanted to keep the terminology, and so guys had a familiarity with it, but we do some things differently, and so obviously those terms are going to change. Everywhere I've gone, you have to change it because people that you've been with before, then they know your book. So it's a little bit more of a chore on me, and I'd rather put it on me than our players. But we are teaching them a different language. There's a pretty good carryover in part of our packages, but we're going to bring some concepts in that they had not done before. And so it's a combination of the two. And, you know, you mentioned Ken and mentioned Marcel. Those guys have been absolutely invaluable. You know, Ken I worked with back in the past at Nevada. And so a lot of our concepts that we did back then were in fact, some of those things that I hadn't done the last few years, we're bringing some of those things back. And then obviously with Marcel being with us last year, having him understand, you know, what we are looking for coverage wise, because it is going to be a little bit different. Has been invaluable having him in here.
Coach, I was wondering, obviously new defense, new groups here. Any players cross-training that in spots they haven't in the past? Anybody straight up moving spots? We're not at practice to watch, but just anybody kind of lining up in places they haven't in the past.
I don't believe so, but what we do in our system is we teach a bunch of job swapping. We're going to have outside backers that are going to be defensive linemen and vice versa. We're going to have safeties that'll be edge players. We'll have edge players that'll be overhang players. I think it's healthy. We're going to have guys like Noah who will be his traditional inside linebacker, but we're also going to walk him up the line of scrimmage and bring him off edges. I think there's a lot of talent on our defense that we want to be able to use different tools, try to make it simple for them, but make it difficult for our offenses to figure it out. But take advantage of the tools that the really talented guys have here.
Just in broad strokes, looking at the talent pool you've got here at Oregon now that you've had the chance to wrap your hand around the players and everything, what do you think the strengths are going to be that you're going to be able to take advantage of this season?
Well, I'll tell you, I think we've got some talent at all three levels. Up front, I really like our edges with Kayvon and Mace. I think they do a really nice job, setting edges. They're guys that can play in space. They're athletic enough to do that. Obviously at the second level, our inside linebacker core is really, really, I think, deep. We've got some veteran players that have played a lot of football that are, really good football players in Drew and Isaac. And then you've got the younger guys who are really, really talented pushing them. So, really nice, culture there. On the back end, I think our corners did a nice job developing. I think we've got speed. We've recruited a bunch of length. And some of the new guys coming in have been impressive so far. So really like, the talent pool. And the other thing that's been really impressive to me coming in is our guys know how to practice. Coach Cristobal has established a program here and a standard of how we have to do things with a sense of urgency and a physicality. And so sometimes you go into a brand new program like at places I've been to in the past, and you got to kind of establish that. That's really been, for the most part, established here. We're going to tweak things a little bit, but that has been really important for us to get this thing to where we wanted to go.
Hey, Tim, as you were kind of alluding to, there's a lot of experience at most of the position groups on the defense, but you guys do lose Jordan and Austin from the interior of the defensive line. A lot of players that have been around for a while but are still young in eligibility. What are kind of your first impressions of that group?
Well, I think we've got an athletic, hungry group, and you're right. There is a lot of youth there. It's hard to tell on 2 no padded days. Everybody looks pretty good when every tackle is made when you get near somebody. Once we get the pads on next week, particularly up front, we'll have a better feel for those guys. But Popo and Brandon Dorless, both those guys have been impressive so far to me. We'll see how the other guys, today, a couple guys flashed, Christian did some good things, and Keon Ware's done some good things. So, seeing those guys develop and play with physicality next week once pads come on, that'll be, important for us to gauge.
When you're installing your defense here, what are some of your goals that you want to take away from spring football to have it be a success?
Well, we've talked about our team, our unit there the other day before we started. We want to establish our brand of football. And, we want to establish the Oregon Duck defense as one who's going to, number one, take the ball away. That's our primary goal, is to take the ball away. Knowing that you can't do that every single play. The other thing we're going to do is we're a defense that prides itself in stopping the run. All good defenses have to start there. And so, our guys have to understand that. We've got to be really good situational players, which means we got to get off the field on third down. We got to understand the tightness of the field down in the red zone and play great red zone defense. And ultimately, you've got to win the takeaway battle. So no matter how many offensive turnovers we got to have at least +1 to win the football game and win the turnover battle.
Who are the 3, 4-eye, 5? Who are those guys specifically? Because you're about 8 to 10 deep in the interior, but who's in the 3, 4-eye, 5 group? Who's at Sam? And in the boundary and the secondary, who's competing at the 2 boundary spots?
Well, we're doing things a little bit differently. Like I mentioned before with the job swapping, we're going to have a bunch of guys play from 3 technique out. And so we'll have a group of those guys. We have a couple different personnel groupings that'll go. And so depending on which grouping we have what we'll call our big guys, and Coach Salavea, primarily coaches those guys. I don't have my roster here in front of me that I can see. I apologize with the depth chart. Have we put out a depth chart yet? And for right now, to be honest with you, it's just an organization chart. There is no set depth. And I think it's always healthy in the springtime to do that. As far as the back end, we're going to be having, really we won't be field and boundary till the fall. We're going to have left corners and left safeties and, right corners and right safeties. And then what that ultimately does is it develops the depth of your team where the best players, regardless if they're a boundary or field safety, get on the field as injuries happen. So this brings a chance for us to look at a bunch of guys in different positions, whether they're going to be, an overhang player, a 5 technique, a 3, or a 0.
Ask you a little bit about the cornerback position. I think we all know quite a bit about McHale and DJ. We've seen them. Brian Addison, somebody we've seen at receiver in the past. I guess at 6'5", kind of how does he fit there? And then some of the freshmen who we haven't seen in the past, kind of early returns on those guys.
Yeah, we're only 2 days in, but Brian, we're actually looking at safety right now. And, I think that's probably more of a natural fit for him. But we've got, Triquez out there at corner. Jalen Davies has flashed a little bit outside at the corner spot, one of the new guys coming in. The more we go through some stuff, because I haven't looked at the back end except for one practice, so it's hard to judge things based on one. But Scoop had a really nice practice on Tuesday when we opened up as a safety. He's a guy that can really run and cover. So I'm excited to see when pads come on with him. If that was just something that he runs around, does 7-7 well, or is that, is he a guy that'll put his face on you? But I've been excited by that young talent that we have brought in. And, Dante, now watching him get out there and run, he's got a different gear than most guys out there. So getting him in the mix and not being dinged up, he's been fun to watch out there as well.
Obviously, Marcel has a lot of experience in the Pac-12, and you're quite familiar with him, having worked with him. What strengths does he bring to the staff? Why was he a good fit here at Oregon?
Well, number one, I think he's an excellent teacher. He's a guy that again has that experience in the league, has seen it. He's been able to coach some guys at an elite level. I think he takes a great deal of pride in investing time in his players so that they know that he cares about them both on and off the field. And because he invests so much, they trust him. And ultimately, that's what we've got to have is players trust coaches, coaches trust players, so that we can get the most out of them. And I think he does a tremendous job with that. He's a guy that brings great ideas to the staff room. He's a great staff guy. And on top of all that, he's a great recruiter. So I thought he was a home run bringing him in.
Tell me who's emerging on your defensive side that's going to provide that leadership this year.
Well, we're still early in the process, but we challenge the entire defense. When a new set of eyes comes in, guys have new opportunities. When a new defense starts, because last year's defense was last year. This is this year's defense. Who's going to step up? I think Kayvon wants to be that guy. Yeah, I've challenged him to be that guy because of his talent. Guys are naturally going to look up to him. And now it's, a chance for him to put the team a little bit on his shoulder. A lot of times the inside linebacker position can do that. I think Noah, even being a young guy, you see him flash and do things the right way. I think he's going to be very, very important as a leader in there. I think Isaac's a quiet leader in that way. On the back end, I think Verone McKinley does a really nice job of understanding what we want to do and holding guys to a standard.
How important is aggression to getting not just the buy-in now and showing that now, but then obviously the results, until you can get the games, you don't have them. But how important is the fact that you do have an aggressive style with so many packages that leads itself to buy-in?
Well, we're going to probably do 3 or 4 packages depending on personnel groupings our offense are going to show us. But obviously the key is having our guys play as fast and as physically as they possibly can. If you're bogging them down mentally, then I'm doing something wrong. And so, we're going to try to make these different defensive packages where 1 or 2 guys are pulled out, but the other, 8, 9 guys, 10 guys are the same guys doing the same thing. So one of the advantages of having, really talented guys that are kind of combo guys, we can have different sets of guys on the field, and an offense isn't sure what front you're going to be. Are you going to be an odd? Or are you going to be an even? And we'll be able to bounce back and forth doing that with some of the guys we have on the field. So, I know it's kind of a lot of gobbledygook a little bit until you see it. But, obviously I don't want to give away everything we're doing, but, if we're playing slow, that's on me. One of the biggest things we're emphasizing, besides taking the ball away, is hauling our tails to the ball. And when you have guys thinking because they're not sure what to do, you become from a good team to a very average, and from an average to a very bad team in a hurry with guys thinking. And we're going to try like hell not to do that. And, it's up to me and our defensive staff to make sure we look at our guys, to see if they're, grasping everything before we keep putting things in.
Tim DeRuyter, I really enjoy listening to the new Duck defensive coordinator talk, breaking everything down. Doesn't want to give too much away, but I think he gives you a good idea of what the defense is going to be looking like here moving forward. They want to take the ball away. They're going to be aggressive. That's going to be their goal. Coming up next, we're going to talk a little offensive line. Alex Mirabal, the Oregon offensive line coach, talked with the media for about 20 minutes. We have that for you next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Hi, welcome to the Spicy Drive-In. May I take your order?
Can I get the spicy chicken sandwich, please?
The spicy chicken is an excellent choice, sir. And to drink?
Whatever's fine.
Oh, may I make a beverage pairing recommendation this evening?
Sure.
If we are feeling especially bold tonight, sir, I would recommend the Mountain Dew with that. It's bravely unrestrained with a very alive aroma that pairs wonderfully with your spicy chicken. It's followed by a hint of zesty citrus flavor.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
I'm sure you already know this, sir, but remember to appreciate the nose first by giving the Mountain Dew a little swirl to relieve volatilize it.
What?
To change the flavor compounds and activate your taste buds to get them fully primed for that chicken sandwich.
It's delicious.
Now you're getting the hang of it. The muscular flavor-charged characteristics of Mountain Dew make for an absolutely epic mouthfeel when paired with spicy cuisine. It is quite on point, sir.
Dude, it's a perfect match. Like they were made for each other.
So true, so true.
When you want to make good food bolder and bold food better, do the Dew.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Learfield IMG College.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Everybody buckle up.
Mom.
Buckle up.
Let's go.
Buckle up.
Can we go to the store? Mom,
buckle
can we get
up.
some ice cream?
Everybody, buckle up.
A lot goes on in the car, but you're in control. So only move when you hear the click that says they're buckled in. Never give up until they buckle up. Learn more at safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack inside the Country Financial Studio. We had Pro Day on Friday. A little more detail coming up on that as the guys met with the media today. We'll have those interviews throughout the week for you. And Oregon spring football practice is, of course, upon us. We'll talk about everything else going on around Oregon athletics here in just a little while. I want to let you listen in to Alex Mirabal, the Oregon offensive line coach. You can tell that he was a high school teacher and a high school coach at one point in his career. Just the way that he speaks, always so informative, articulate. And, man, he's got a lot of good pieces along this Oregon offensive line. Starting here first, discussing how they need to be a little bit better, helping the run game get going. Alex Mirabal talking with the media about the O-line.
I think we need to do a heck of a lot better job running the football. We got to be a lot more physical. We got to do a better job of denting the line of scrimmage, in my opinion. And we've got to try to provide Anthony and the rest of the quarterbacks with a cleaner pocket. So those are things that we're striving on. I didn't think, Max, I thought, the pandemic really hurt us as an offensive line, because you can't use your hands. You can't touch this. You can't touch that. You can't hit a shield. You can't hit a med ball. You can't do all that stuff. And I understood why we weren't doing it, but I also knew that it was going to end up coming and biting us in the tail at some point. And I could see it when I watched film during the year, and I could see it when we watched the cut-ups after the year, that was a big deal. It was a big deal. So it's nice to have somewhat of a more normal offseason, where we've been able to strike med balls, we've been able to strike things, and it's a lot. I mean, so now you're going to get better at it. You're going to technically and fundamentally, you're going to be able to get better at it. But so I think, Max, to answer your question, I think we need to get better at using the use of our hands in the run game and in pass protection. And I think that our run blocking last year, my coaching of the run blocking last year left a lot to be desired. So those are things that we're jumping into and we're delving into right now in spring ball.
Coach, last year you guys kind of had platoon rotations you had 6 guys, but you kind of rotated them through. Is the plan to continue that?
To answer your question, it was 6 guys, because those 6 guys we felt earned the opportunity to do that, So you play 6, if it's only 5, then you play 5. If it's 7, you play 7, so it's kind of one of those deals. Obviously, Eric, it's a little bit different with the offensive line, where when you play 6 or you play 7, because those 5 guys really have to do work in unison. You know what I'm saying? So they have to be able to have that cohesiveness and that communication to allow them to play and allow you to interchange that, and I'm not, whether that continues or not, that's to be seen, whether it's just 5 guys and you ride with 5, or you go with 6 or what have you, and I've heard things, well, it hurts the continuity. I watched I thought that myself, Coach Cristobal, Coach Moorhead, felt that those 6 guys deserved the opportunity to play, so that's what we did. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to do that again in 2021. We didn't do that in 2019, we did a little bit with Warmack and with Yellow, but that's, was a little bit different this past year. So to answer your question, you got to earn that, you know what I'm saying? You got to earn that. But I'm not going, I'm going in trying to find the first 5 and then trying to find the second 5 and find the third 5, and if one of those guys in that second 5 warrants, because Eric, to answer the question, do you take a guy out? When you take a guy out and sub a guy in, you've got to feel that they're equal, that there's not going to be a drop off. And if you feel that, then yeah, go ahead and do it. But if there's going to be a drop off, then you don't make that move,
Where are Bram, Jackson, and Jonah? Just where are they opening up? Because I know you want them to be at basically one spot in the initial onset. So just where are each of those guys?
Right. So Bram's at right tackle. Bram Walden's at right tackle in the organizational chart. He's at right tackle. Jackson Light's at center in the organizational chart. Right now, Jonah is at left tackle, and Kingsley's at left tackle. Kingsley's at left tackle in the organizational chart right now, behind George Moore. Because Jonah, they're all mid-year, James. They're all mid-year, but like Jonah Miller was mid-year, but he didn't come until after spring break. The other boys, the 3 other guys, Kings and Jax and Bram, those guys came on January 4th. So those guys are going to be a little bit further ahead of him physically and just from what we do as a program, right now. So that's where we have them, and they're doing good, and the cool thing is that in spring ball, they're getting the same exact amount of reps as the 1s and the 2s are, so whenever we have like a team period, if the 1s get 8 reps, the 2s get 8 reps, the 3s get 8 reps, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like they're all everybody. If we go one-on-one pass rush, the left tackle the first left tackle is getting 2, the second left tackle is getting 2, the third left tackle is getting 2. So they're all getting an equal amount of reps. So you do get an apples to apples comparison with that right now. So we're able to run those guys out there. But that's where they're at right now, James, on the depth chart. Where Bram's at right tackle. Then you got Jackson at center, and you got Kingsley at left, and you also have Jonah at left. So that's where they're at right now.
Coach, during the recruiting process, I was very impressed with Jackson Light and his leadership capabilities on and off the field. I realize he's just a true freshman and he just got here, but are you seeing any of that translate now that he's here in college as a leader?
Yeah, you know what? So he's a natural leader. Now, AJ, the difference is, right, until you gain a complete mastery of what we're doing offensively in terms of how we do things, why we do things, and what we do, it's hard for you to completely be a leadership, you know? So like I tell him, AJ, so when we're in the offensive line room and we're watching practice film, so that this morning we're watching practice film, and I'll say, okay, Alex, and I'm talking about Forsyth, right? I'd say, Alex, what's the front? And he'll go, hey, coach, it's odd, knows the point. This is my call, you know, and there's assertiveness and he's very sure of what's coming out of his mouth. Right. And then I go to like JD, right, who's on the organizational chart. He's at second behind Alex Forsyth. And I call, hey, JD, what's the front? Hey, coach, it's 4 down. 35 is the point. This is my call. And there's like certainty to it, you know? And like I tell Jackson, so then I call on Jax right now. And if I call on Jax right now, it might be sound like just like this. It might sound odd. So what I tell him is I say, listen, man, when you're the center, you almost got to fake it till you make it, you know? So whether you know it or don't know it, you need the other 4 guys. They need to know, man, this joker, I'm buying what he's selling. You with me? So you got to come up and you got to go, man, hey, it's odd, knows the point. Hey, B35, boom. You got to have that control the room. And because he's relatively new here and stuff like that, you know, he doesn't want to be wrong. You know what I'm saying, AJ? So because he doesn't want to be wrong, sometimes it just doesn't, he's afraid to spit it out there, even though he knows it, because he wants to make sure that he says the right thing. So I put they're all on every day. The entire room is on trial. Right. And I badger them with questions, and I badger them, and it doesn't matter. I mean, whether it's George Moore and you've been in college for 9 years or only 7, right? Or you're Kingsley and you were just here for 3 months, right? We ask them the same amount of questions, right? And part of it, AJ, is for me, not only to find out what they know, but also so that those other guys in that room have confidence. You know what? Hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. So if something were to happen and we had to slide this guy in, man, you know what? I got trust in that guy. So we do that in the O-line room, and I don't think it's an earth-shattering thing. I would hope that most offensive line coaches in the country do the same thing, you know. But that's what we do. So, but he is a leader, you know, and it's interesting because right now, I mean, when he puts his hand on the ball and just goes out there and plays in 11 on 11, you could see the high school stuff, all that. The toughness, the physicalness, the leadership. You can really see that from Jackson. He's going to be a really good one.
Man, I just love listening to Alex Mirabal talk. Can you see why Oregon's offensive line is so good with first Coach Cristobal and now Coach Mirabal working with those guys? That was a lot of information to unpack, and I love that the room is on trial every time, right? He's always quizzing them, and I trust me, from talking with him like I have and observing the way that he goes about teaching, it's really something. I really enjoy what Coach Mirabal brings to this staff. Selfishly, I just really like listening to him break down how you go about teaching offensive line. So we're going to hear a little bit more from him coming up. In fact, he's talking about Penei Sewell. Pretty doggone good player. We got that for you coming up next. It's Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier.
My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Joy Mac welcoming you back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. We're inside the Country Financial Studio. We continue talking spring football as the Ducks are on the practice field. They will again be on the practice field tomorrow, as it'll be the third of 15 practices, with the 15th being the spring game coming at you on May 1st. And I know a lot of details still to come. A lot of people wondering, hey, fans in the stands, what's going to look like? Stay tuned. Details being worked out, hoping for the best as we can all continue to do our parts, keep that risk level low in Lane County and beyond. And I hope that we're going to be able to have a lot of you in the stands. But we'll see. I don't want to overpromise because, let's be real, I know nothing and I really don't have any say in the matter. Nor should I. But I do hope that we're going to be able to accommodate a lot of fans. And we'll see what that's going to look like. Coach Mirabal, though, continuing, he was talking about Penei Sewell and just, man, how great of a guy Penei Sewell has been for this Oregon football program. He recently went through Pro Day. That was pretty darn cool for Penei Sewell. Here's Alex Mirabal, the Oregon offensive line coach, talking about that and more.
I wanted to ask you a couple about Penei. What's it like for you to have him back for Pro Day and have one of your guys on the cusp of living the dream? What's that experience like? And also, from an offensive line coach perspective, can you explain what makes him special?
Yeah, so it was awesome having him. It was awesome having Penei and Arlene and Gabe back on campus, because you get, we haven't seen anybody, we literally haven't seen anybody. So it's nice to be able to see people. We saw, I saw our team chaplain today for the first time in a year, and just be able to fist bump him, just that interaction with people. So it was really, really good to have him back. And, initially I was like, man, I wish, it was one of those deals, man, of, you look at him and then you look at Thomas Graham and you look at Javon and you look at Brady and you're like, man, those are four guys right there. You got two or three of them that could go in the first round. You got another one. I think Brady Bree's going to play for a long time in the NFL, in my opinion, so you start thinking what coulda, shoulda, woulda, kind of deal there. But I don't blame Penei I don't blame him and his family for making the decision that they made, not in one bit, not after the season started and stopped and all that stuff. Right. But it was great having him back, great having him back. He's got a tremendous spirit about him. And so I missed that part of it, and he's just, he's the best offensive lineman in the country. I don't care what anybody says. Am I biased? Yeah, I'm biased, but I'm biased not because he played for us at Oregon. I'm biased because I got to see him every day, and I felt the same way last year about Justin Herbert. Was I biased because he played for us? Yes, but I was really biased because I got to see Herbert every day. Every day I got to see Herbert, where I got to see Sewell every day, so I know what his greatness is. And to answer your question, Ryan, you're talking about a guy who's got tremendous, his power and his hips are unbelievable. And then he's got, what elevates him from a great player to an elite player is he's got a sixth sense. He sees things, he feels things that others can't, and I've said that before. He just does, and it's ever since he was a true freshman, and go back to the Stanford game, and I've used this Stanford game, and we're down there towards the students, and we're on the 25-yard line. We run an end around to red, and he goes in there, and he's supposed to knock the three technique over and go to the backside backer. Well, there's no three technique, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen now? And they bring a cross blitz, He takes the first linebacker and tosses him, takes the second linebacker and runs him through the end zone. And when I asked him on the sideline, I said, "Hey man, how'd you see that?" He goes, "Coach, I just did." It's just one of those deals, which is what makes him what he is. And someone's going to be really, really lucky when they get him, it's crazy because NFL draft comes out and all these scouts and teams want to do is look at guys' shortcomings instead of what they put on tape, and I would trust what they put on tape, because if not, Justin Herbert's going to happen all over again for all those teams that bypass him, that bypass Justin. And I believe the same thing with Penei. I believe that him and Trevor Lawrence are the best players in the country, hands down. And then you can fight for whoever you want third, and I don't care if you need a quarterback, you better take a darn left tackle who's going to protect him. And so that's how I feel about him. I'm adamant about him. But I was able to experience, I had a behind the scenes, right? And I know in that 2019, we had all those great offensive linemen with Throck and Warmack and Aiello and Hansen and Lemieux. And on game day, it was Sewell's team. It was Sewell's team, and they knew it and they respected it. So that's what I feel about him. I think he's unbelievable, phenomenal, and I think whatever team offensive line coach takes him is going to be blessed.
With such a talented young group of these freshmen on campus now, what are you going to have to see from them to maybe get some pretty significant playing time this season? Well,
it's actually they've got to put it on film. They got to put it on film. And at the end of the day, when a kid puts it on film, the other players see it too. So it's really not as difficult a decision to make, whether it's with whoever, whether it was with Bram, Kingsley, Jonah, Jackson. It's not a difficult decision. But those guys that are there right now, like a Moore, like a Bass, like a Forsyth, like a Walk, like a Stephen Jones, those guys aren't going to be easy outs for anybody. They're not easy outs. They're because they're growing, right? They went through the lumps last year. They went through playing for the first time, and now they look like a veteran offensive line in spring ball, and at the same time that they're doing that, George Moore is helping Kingsley more than anybody. Stephen Jones is helping Kingsley more than anybody. Those guys are helping those guys. They know their job, their legacy is to help those guys continue the tradition of offensive line play at the University of Oregon. And at the same time, those guys are competing against them. But we don't have selfishness in our room. That's part of my job as an offensive line coach, is to make sure that George or Alex and stuff like that they're helping Bram, that they're helping Kingsley, that they're helping Jackson, even though those guys potentially are also competition. But they're like brothers, man. It's like big brother and little brother, So, and again, if a person's not in the offensive line room, they don't understand that. They don't understand. There's no jealousy. And that's why, to me, coaching offensive line is the greatest position in the world, because those guys are the most selfless individuals.
5 bodies, 1 mind. That's what Alex Mirabal always says about an offensive line and what makes a good one. Great stuff. I really love listening to that guy talking. How about what he said about Penei Sewell? Yeah, I think any NFL team's going to be pretty darn happy when they draft Penei Sewell. That's awesome. Coming up, the first meet at the new Hayward Field. Robert Johnson talking about that, as we got a ton of interviews today on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics, because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear Freedom, Toyota hybrids say, let's go faster and further, with 10 hybrid models to choose from and tons of top tech. The best part? Every Toyota hybrid offers an extended hybrid battery warranty for 10 years or 150,000 miles. So let's go places. Toyota hybrids.
For Toyota hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and fuel cell and battery electric vehicles beginning with model year 2020. The hybrid HV battery is covered for 10 years from original date of first use or 150,000 miles, whichever comes first. Coverage is subject to terms and conditions of your new vehicle limited warranty. See owner's warranty and maintenance guide for details.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Learfield IMG College.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions, don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Back on Nugget Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you inside the Country Financial Studio. The first meet at Hayward, an incredible weekend for the Ducks. Oregon Track and Field team recorded 5 wins and 4 top 10 program marks on Saturday on day 2 of the Hayward premiere. NCAA indoor champs Cole Hawker and Emmanuel MJ were part of the Ducks winner's circle, along with a few others for the Ducks. All in all, pretty good start to the weekend, huh, Robert Johnson, Oregon Track and Field head coach?
This has been a long time coming for us here in our program, and to see over the last couple of days the other teams, not only the athletes but the coaches, and then get all the pats on the back about this is amazing. It's been a surreal moment today, a long time coming, and thankful, blessed, happy. To shoot the gun. I woke up this morning excited and giddy. Couldn't wait to shoot the gun. Almost like it was Christmas morning for myself, because I know the blood, sweat, and tears that went into pulling this thing off. And so I'm probably not doing it justice, and probably not going to be able to be thankful enough for all the people that are behind the scenes that were able to help and pull this thing off. And so just thankful, and thank everybody that was involved, all our support people, all our tech and AV people, all our custodians and janitors. Place looks great. Maintenance crew, it looks great. Grounds crew looks great. When I walked in here and I got here, I have a little tradition to where I go and thank and high five, knuckle bump, air five, in today's world, all of our officials. And so I go to all the crews around the stadium, and just during that moment, I was like, aha, we're here. And you just get more and more anxious, like shoot the gun. And then shortly after that, the hammer throw got underway. But all that went away because then I started coaching the kids that I worked directly with. But then after I was done with that, I had a bit of a break. So I just went into the stands and I just sat and enjoyed and became a fan for about 10 minutes and took in some of the races and events were going on and some of the reactions, and really proud of our team. You know, our team really brought some energy to the stadium tonight, and thankful for them. They did a good job supporting their teammates, and they were loud in doing it. And I was like, is that them being loud, or is that the stadium making this thing amplified more than it should be? But thankful for them and appreciative of them and their efforts tonight as well.
Robert, strictly from a performance standpoint by your athletes, what's your biggest takeaway from these last 2 days?
We got some a little more work to do. It's early for us, and so you can kind of see some of the mental mistakes that we're making. You can see some of the technical mistakes and some of the technical events, and then some of the running events there. And so, not to be so unexpected there, but those are my early takes from this meet here. Is that there's some things technically that we can do better across the board.
Some really big PRs, Robert, a lot of time drops, some big jumps. What do you attribute that to? Is not competing last year have something to do with it? More training, or?
Yeah, as you can see, Lori, that there's been a good track and field all year long, starting from January, and it's just a continuation of now. So I think the kids are eager to get out there and do what they love to do, and they've just had an uninterrupted block of training that usually doesn't happen because we train them, we race them, we train them, we race them, we train them, we race them, and now it's just a straight training thing, and there's no racing in there. So you're able to put down really solid foundations that you see, and then I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about what everybody else is talking about the shoes. Hopefully, all of that crap goes away and stops. They're doing things incredibly this year in the shot put. No shoe talking that. They're doing incredible things in the jumps. No shoe in that. They're doing incredible things in the vault. No shoe in that. They're doing incredible things in the sprints. No shoe in that. So it's not just the distance events that are doing well. It's all the events in track and field that are really well. Like if you look at the marks, this indoor championship and comparing to any other indoor championships, it's across the board over the top.
Robert, last night you had that great line about welcome to 5-star hotel at Hayward Field or 5-star resort. What was your the reaction from other coaches that you heard?
Very complimentary of the way we put on the meet. Very complimentary of the facility. You know, they can only say so many things because, of course, they're our competitors and we're competing against everybody. But for the most part, everybody that I had a chance to were like over the moon. My friends from Arkansas, who did a great job in hosting lots of people and providing opportunities for track and field programs indoors, said that it was every bit worth the money that they spent to get here. Because when they got here at first, it took the kids 30 minutes to calm down and let their eyes go back to normal and the phones to go away. And so they're a fabulous program and they do a good job with their kids and we were happy to have them. But they know good track and field as well. And they have good facilities and they definitely said this is over the top.
That's awesome to hear. Robert Johnson, the Oregon track and field head coach, some of his comments following the Hayward premiere. Man, that was cool just to see all the action at Hayward and to see it finally realized, all of the potential of that facility, and there's still a lot more there. There's still a lot more to come. Meanwhile, a lot more to come in our realm. Chris Duarte, named the nation's top shooting guard. The senior from Puerto Plata, Dominican Republic, the 2021 recipient of the Jerry West Shooting Guard of the Year Award by the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. He is the first Oregon player and the first Pac-12 player to receive the Jerry West Award. It just is another notch in the belt for Pac-12 basketball this year, isn't it? Chris Duarte, congratulations to him. The 7-time All-American was one of just 2 players nationally who averaged at least 17 points and 1.9 steals per game while shooting 50% from the floor. He called it an honor to win the award, and if you didn't see him thanking Jerry West and then today Jerry West telling him why he's a great player, man, that's great stuff on the Oregon men's basketball social media channels. Talk about a great run for Pac-12 hoops, by the way. Hell of a postseason for Pac-12 basketball. Congratulations to all of them because men's basketball went 13-5 in the NCAA tournament. That is tied for the most NCAA tournament wins in league history. Women's basketball went 15-5, of course, with that classic of a game between Stanford and Arizona. God, that was a lot of fun to watch. That was tied for the most NCAA tournament wins in league history as well. Men's and women's basketball tying their previous high marks for postseason wins in the same season. Combined 28-10. That's the most NCAA tournament wins in league history. Jesse Hooker from the Pac-12 office put that together, and man, that just tells you how impressive it has been. Softball this weekend, the Ducks went 3-1, 2-1 in the Pac-12 series in the rivalry matchup with the Beavers. They split the doubleheader, but Brooke Yanez and McKenna Clethermis combined for 14 strikeouts as they fended off a late rally from Oregon State in the finale of the 4-game set to win the series. Yanez is now 13-0. She capped off her incredible weekend with 12 Ks and just 2 walks, while Clethermus entered in the 6th inning and tossed 1 2/3 perfect innings with a pair of strikeouts to earn the save. Good stuff from Oregon softball. We've got Melissa Lombardi coming up for you on the show later this week, which is a reminder for me, no Duck Insider for you tomorrow because we'll be on the air for Oregon baseball with a 2 o'clock first pitch when the Ducks will face Portland. And speaking of baseball, we're going to hear from Mark Wazikowski in just a moment. But first, volleyball. Number 10 national seed for the Ducks. Ducks 14 Pac-12 wins, tied for the second most conference wins in a season in program history. Ducks are the 10th overall seed. They will play next Thursday against the winner of next Wednesday's matchup between Army and Notre Dame. We're going to talk with Matt Ulmer more on the show this week, but I also got a chance to talk with Coach Ulmer yesterday, and a happy Easter to everybody who joined us on our various events. And Matt Ulmer, pretty darn excited. Anytime you hear that name called, I ask him, never gets old, does it, Coach?
Just really excited for the team. You know, they've worked so hard. We've come a long way since the last time we were in the tournament in 2018. So to see us have an even higher seed than we had in 2018, I think is a testament to how hard these guys have worked. And, you know, they've positioned themselves to make a run, you know, and they've just done a lot of great things, and really love the group and excited to go do this with them.
Well, what's been the biggest reason for your success this winter?
I think we're a pretty well-rounded group. You know, I mean, Nunaviller has really upped her offensive game to become maybe a star, you know, but she doesn't act that way. She doesn't act like a star. We're just, you know, we just play a really good brand of team volleyball. Our defense is the best in our Oregon history in rally scoring. You know, so we're playing some really great defense, holding teams so like a 160 hitting percentage, which that's very low. Our offense is getting better throughout the year, and one of our best performances was yesterday. So, you know, if we can continue to have a good offensive showing and play the defense we've been playing, ball control, you know, we're a tough team to beat.
So what is the schedule ahead? A little bit of extra time now to prepare. Just what are you guys going to be doing over the next week? When do you travel to Nebraska? What's kind of the schedule for your squad now? What do you focus on?
Yeah, I think we'll take tomorrow and Friday off, probably practice Tuesday through Thursday, and then practice Saturday, Sunday. We leave Monday, figuring out what our flight is probably in the morning, get to Omaha. You're in your room. Everybody has their own hotel room, and you're isolated in that room for the rest of that day and the following day. So that's brutal, but happy to do it, and then we'll practice there on Wednesday, play Thursday. So we have the bye on the first round of games is Wednesday, which we have the bye for.
Matt Ulmer, the Oregon volleyball head coach, number 10 national seed. We'll talk more with him coming up on the show on Wednesday as we'll sit down with the Oregon volleyball head coach. Brooke Nunaviller also talked a little bit about just if they had ever seen, I asked her, have you seen Army and Notre Dame? She goes, nope, I haven't. So I guess that makes sense. You know, a conference-only schedule for volleyball this year, and they didn't get a chance to see really much else. So the scouting report begins here coming up over the next few days. Quick timeout. When we come back and hear from Mark Wazikowski as Oregon baseball, they got a nice weekend sweep. Also a doubleheader sweep on Saturday. More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see? Every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments. It doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hello, it's me, the designer jeans in the back of your closet. What happened to us? I used to summer in the Hamptons, and now I'm stuck behind a pair of sweats. Okay, maybe I never really fit you right, but I got a lot more Sunday fun days left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio, and it is time for your 2-minute drill brought to you by our friends at Cafe Yum. Well, for Oregon baseball, a pretty interesting weekend because on Friday we saw Kenyon Yovan, who's usually the DH for the first time in his career, at third base, and the Ducks won a solid game 8-2, though we didn't see a ball get hit to him. Then he didn't play there the rest of the weekend based on the way that things broke, but the Ducks had some incredible pitching performances. Saturday, Brett Walker, career-high 13 Ks in the second game of the doubleheader. Cullen Kafka, a career-high 12 Ks in the first game of the doubleheader. Oregon sweeping the series against New Mexico State. Real quick, Mark Wasikowski, pretty darn happy with the way that things went for the Ducks.
We won 4 games this weekend. That was the objective, is to win 4 games. We did. The pitchers were dominant. It was great to see. I thought we did enough offensively, obviously, to win the games, and it was a really good weekend. 4 games and 4 wins.
You'll take it from the Oregon baseball head coach Mark Wasikowski, and we'll hear from him coming up on the Toyota Coaches Corner with a 1:45 pregame show tomorrow afternoon when the Ducks will face Portland in their midweek action. Women's soccer played to a draw with Utah 1-1 Friday afternoon, and then on Sunday against Colorado, it was an unfair game. Just brutal. The Ducks were clearly creating more chances than Colorado, but Colorado got the 1-0 victory. So the Ducks are now 5-4-4 and 3-3-2. They're right there. I'm telling you guys, they're right there on that bubble. Get on board with the bubble for Oregon soccer. Women's lacrosse, that is, fell to USC on Sunday. And although women's tennis dropped a 4-3 decision to Cal on Friday, it was senior day, and the number 46 Oregon women's tennis team knocked off Stanford for the first time in program history with, on the other side, a thrilling 4-3 win over the number 25 Cardinal. Match came down to a decisive one. It was a lot of fun. So congratulations to Courtney Nagel and her squad. Men's tennis, the Ducks did suffer a bit of a setback, and they're now 13-4 overall after a loss to USC, even though they did get a win over the number 2 doubles team in the country. Good for Stanford and Arizona in women's hoops, and I'll just end the Cafe Yum 2-minute drill telling you the menus are available at cafeyum.com, that I am so excited for what the future of Oregon women's basketball looks like, because this Pac-12 conference is legit. A lot of interviews today. My thanks to Tim DeRuyter, Alex Mirabal, and a whole lot more. See you tomorrow for some baseball.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been prepared.